A very loving Sairam to one and all. I hereby take this opportunity to welcome you all to the last day of the M3 Meet 2022. Now, keeping time constraints in mind, I'll quickly start introducing our guest today. Dr. V. Kameshwar Rao is an associate professor in mathematics. He has finished his BSc, B.Ed, MSc, and PhD all from Utkal University, Orissa. And he's such an accomplished individual that I'll have to cut short and only tell you the a few main achievements that will that are relevant for today's meeting. Sir has been a member of the National Focus Group on Teaching Mathematics. He has also been the mathematics subject expert for review of mathematics textbooks of NCERT. He has also been associated with development of textbooks in mathematics for classes 8 and 9 during various years. And mainly, as we all know, he has been instrumental in facilitating yesterday's session with Dr. Amarendra P. Behra, who's the Joint Director of Central Institute of Educational Technology, NCERT. So without much ado, I'll take this opportunity to invite Dr. V. Kameshwar Rao. Thank you, sir.
It's always a pleasure to be with people who are going to be with children. I have been associated with the proceedings for the last 2 days and this morning too. I'm grateful to the organizers for having invited me. If I don't express my gratitude now, later I might forget. I thought that's my first duty to express my gratitude to all of you. I'm here not to talk what I want to talk. I'm here to talk to you what you want to listen to. Because as the series of learning, when the conducting you conduct, to do so in when a conducting you not in readiness to conduct, but it to do so in not in. When a conducting unit is readiness to conduct, but it not to do so is also not. When the students are ready to learn, there is an opportunity to learn, then learning phase. When the students are not in readiness to learn, and the teacher wants them to learn, learning doesn't take place. When the students are eager to learn, teacher doesn't provide an opportunity to learn. Then, so these are the three laws of learning when I joined the college some 52 years ago. The very first class in which my psychology professor started talking to us about creativity. after good learning, we go to these three. And I always focus on those. So, what do you expect me to talk? If it was a group of teachers, I knew how, what kind of questions would there in the mind. If it is a group of children, I know the kind of students who love to take class. This is a group. So it is for you to pick and give me a credit so that I wow. Multimedia, how multimedia can add value to the classroom or enrich the classroom. Probably is done already. Yeah, practical.
But I add to Srisha's, I'll further clarify. So multimedia system are aimed to be low child. Because every child is not different, and every child is not mentally time to just grasp by listening or see. To ensure that no child is left behind, big Indian story, at least some basic foundational literacy and numeracy is available to that child through our collective.
Yeah, it should ultimately cover that. Attention. To from what is the blackboard? What is the blackboard? You have yeah. What is the blackboard? Yeah, part of it. So whatever visual effects or whatever video you want to use, always bear in mind that you are very close to the student. You become close, not close to their thought process. Where sometimes visualization is very, very important. If it is not visualized, you miss. I'll pick a couple of examples here. Yes, sir. I'm going to ask you a very simple question. I'm not going to repeat my question. You have to answer. Simple question. I'm going to ask you this answer. How much is 1030 plus 1030? 2000. Okay, others we are answer. How much is 1030 plus 1030? 2068. See, you have seen the variation in the answer. Plus 30. 90. So that is 2090. How much is 2090 plus 10? My question very simple. The moment I said 1000, then I said, I'm going to ask you. When I went closer to him, tension was built. When I said, I'm not going to repeat. And then when I asked him, 1030 plus 1030, because he had to answer quickly, he said 1060. The 1000 went out of his vision. When someone else said 2060, he connected, he went to visual, that 1030 plus 1030. So 2060, and he did not want to commit further mistake. And I knew he was going to be right. Then I picked up him. And because he knew he was right, the moment I asked him plus 30 plus 10, he completely missed the visualization. Now, that is all. Visualization is very important, even in very simple cases. So, in the classroom, when I said, be very close to the students, did not mean physically going through. There should be no pressure. There should be no time limit, because every child is unique. They have different pace of learning. And there is one teacher who is trying to teach everyone. When they all receive differently, the angle is different. So it is very difficult to make an item which will make all of them to look at from the same angle. So when you make any learning material, you need to focus on that. Who is going to receive it? Different people will have a different observation. I'll give another very simple example. I've written something. Are there teachers? What do you see, madam? Yes. She saw an equation there. She read each one as she understood. And she came to the right side and she said 0 or O, because when that is a letter, this could be also a letter. Now, this is the same thing. When you ask a child of class 6 or 7, would say, oh, x is equal to 0. 0 is a number. So It's a solution. The solution. There is a point which represents 0 there. If you move a little further to class 9, 10, where they learn coordinate geometry, this represents the y-axis. It doesn't represent a point, it represents a straight line, which is infinite in length. If you go little further into the +2 stage, the same thing represents the YZ plane, where you have infinite lines. The entire plane, this is represented by a very, very simple expression, x is equal to 0. That is the beauty of my subject. Children must be in a position to see and appreciate or the beauty of my subject. In other words, what I wanted to say is, every teacher should be aware of the nature of the subject they are talking about. They are going to speak, transact. I don't say they teach, because no one can teach anyone. I don't use the word teach. Only all of us are facilitators. We facilitate for learning to take place. Because the moment you say, he's a teacher, he will enter the classroom with something in mind, and then I will do, and they will think only he knows, we have to take it from him, and they will nod, and when we ask, they will answer. So when the teacher enters, it should enter as a facilitator where he is also going to learn. He is also going to learn from the audience that he is going to face. In other words, when you prepare an item, whatever medium, it should not have the voice of the teacher, where he would say, I'm going to teach this. I'm going to explain this. I taught you. I told you. No, the word I should not be anywhere there. The word teach should not exist in that lesson. Make sure you're making an item where all are contributors. All are contributors. When you develop a particular concept, please don't begin the concept with the definition of the concept. The definition should be evolved. It should emerge from the discussions that take place in a class. The moment you say, today I'm going to teach Pythagoras theorem, is the statement of theorem. No. So, before entering the class, the teacher must visualize what is the context I would set in, so that everyone will participate. And the purpose of that particular transaction is not defeated. To tell you the truth, when the mathematics teacher enters the class, normally aware of the schools under Satya Sai. I've not visited them. The moment he enters the class, children see a question mark on his face. Children see a question. You could simply come and say, with the monitor, don't you know that you have to keep it clean? Or why are you jumping there? Why are you not ready? Why are you making noise? No, this is what the teacher enters. Instead of that, if the teacher enters with a smile, teacher the class with a smile. You know, the kind of positivity that is transmitted and generated in the class. If mathematics teacher enters with the very thought that he or she is going to learn from the class today something interesting, instead of I will make the class interesting. No. So if you think sometimes the teachers tell me, no, sir, the mathematics teachers are given a lot of responsibility. They have to do they have to do the absentee teachers, discipline, all those. I had also done all those. Both with children, but both on the audience. But a few steps before the class, I always recalled some incident, some humor, and that clicked smile in my face. So when you meet the teachers, when you talk to them, tell them, particularly my teachers, when they enter, let them enter with a smile, with expectation that there is positivity in the classroom. Because under disturbance you can learn, but under tension no learning takes place. Under tension, absolutely no. You have seen the system here. The entire system in Prashanthism works on a particular schedule. No one violates. And that is the reason. Everything is done as Swami desired. My subject mathematics is like the system here is highly structured. It is structured. And my subject is not interested in solving a single problem. No. It doesn't aim at solving a single problem. It thinks of a class of problems. Class of problems. So the software or whatever you develop should not be aimed at one particular student or one particular category or one particular target. It should explain a lot of things. Then only it will be useful. Otherwise, after that is over, that is lost, forgotten. Yesterday, Professor Rajaram Sharma was giving an example. You have a picture of a monument. If someone who is interested in religion would go and think about who was the religious or king or who is there, an architect would look at it differently. A geography teacher will look at it differently. Different people will look at it differently. So, your material should have wide angle to observe. It should not be confined to solving a particular problem. So when you think of developing a material, the first question you must ask is it relevant at that level? The language that I'm using, is it accessible? Is it comprehensible? Can they comprehend? Words that I'm using there, are they already there in the language or other subjects? If in this particular subject, if it is coming for the first time, make it distinct. Make it bold. Think of a color code. Now, if you are talking about developing material, see, we have 3 different levels of learning. Early stage, secondary, and senior secondary. The first stage, learning should take place through concrete means. It should be concrete. Whatever you want to introduce, whatever material you want to introduce, should be totally concrete. Concrete in the sense, the children must be able to have access to that material, must be aware of. And that is where our country differs. Different localities have different settings. For a need assessment, when I went to Andaman and Nicobar Islands after the tsunami. And then I went into the book 40 teachers and the book of these student teachers to help the children. Some children lost a father, some lost mother, some lost both father and mother, some lost everyone in the family. One boy survived on the tree for 20 days. He was also in the camp. One boy lost everything, including his books, including he had nothing. So, assuming that he has everything, he will be committing it under. So, when one of my students made a PPT, though there is 46, PPT was a luxury. So, he made a lesson on time and distance. The children in Andaman and Nicobar have not seen a train. They have not seen it. They see the helicopters, ships, boats, buses, and aeroplanes. They see plenty. They have got into it, but they have not gone. They have not seen what is it. They have not. So we have to change that material. Whatever is accessible to them, whatever was around them, that material now needs to be used to develop the concept. So when I said the material that you will use, the concrete material, that needs to be accessible. And after the concrete stage is, next is the representation. where you don't require any longer the concrete material. It's only a representation. That comes only with a lot of concrete experience. Concrete experience. And if you hurry to representational to begin with, it becomes the rote learning. If the parents, the moment children start speaking a few words, induce into their mouth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, children have absolutely no idea. They take pride in making children say up to 20, they don't know what that is meant for. Because if you make it till 20, tomorrow you're going to get 2 chocolates. No, the kind of system, incentive that they give, I call it bribing the children to memorize. So mathematics actually suffers. The first casualty is in the hands of the parents. If I ask you, how many doors are there in the house? Are you sure? Yes. Answered by not seeing that, because he is familiar with those. He does. If I ask him how many doors are there in this hall, he has to go around, have a concrete experience, and then he will ask, he is able to only connect. Okay? Because he has his own way of thinking and matching. Okay? So the concrete experience is a must. Then only the representation. After, once you come to the representational, you see the advantage of the representational. I will just give you one example. See, I always get to mathematics to explain. It's something. Huh? Just start. Are you sure that the food starts there? Nothing simple. And then the stars get brought into the basket, yes, no? Yes, madam? Things simple. I'm not going to mathematics. Unfortunately, I'm from mathematics. You expect that I will not be from math.
Who designs 1 plus an addition?
2 plus 1.
Addition.
See, that is how people tell children how to think. Now, it is as simple as that. So, a simple, I have put, because I said the other stars I question, most of you changed your mind. Most of you changed because You were also expecting, there were stars. I was only representing them for stars. But representing them for stars. So these are representational. So that is the advantage. I don't have to ask you to go and wait till evening to see how many stars 2 and 1. Yes, you tell me. If I is equal to, what should be the answer? Oh. It says 3. Why do you think it is 3? See, this is representing stars, and this is something I don't know. Oh, you think instead of 3 stars, he has said 3. Okay. Still the advantage. These are representational and this is abstract. What he had mentally formulated is this. I have written there. From representational to abstract. Madam, you think what I have written is right? How do you know?
2 stars plus 1.
2 stars plus 1 is 3 stars is fine. But then 2 plus 1 is 3. Why?
When you add,
Are you sure? Yeah, I believe 2 stars and 1 star put together 3 stars. But then you are saying that 2 plus 1, I don't know what is the 2. So if I put 2 numbers together, I will be another number. You can see 3 there. Are you sure you can see 3 there?
yes.
I could never see the number 3. I don't know how you are able to see 3. He says no, they are not numbers. They stand for the numbers again. They stand for the numbers. They are called numerals. They are called the numerals. But then madam so confident saying 2 plus 1 is 3, she doesn't satisfy me that why 2 plus 1 is 3. Should one of you tell me why the 2 plus 1 is 3 is correct?
2 plus 1 is 3.
You are showing me fingers. I don't disagree. 2 and 1, 3, I agree. But then that 2 plus 1 doesn't tell me that they are fingers or books or chocolates or.
Let's see the binary operator and this is an
Simple. You blame mathematics.
The second one you represented it.
And therefore this. See, I say,
Count the numbers.
I say,
Counting.
this is working. What is it? Therefore, can I say all the AC campus are working?
No.
I have written something that answer general. I understand 2 books have 2 people and 2 people, 4 people, 2 and 1, 3. That, all those I understand, but then how the 2 plus 1 is 3? Someone said if we put 2 things, And another thing, we see three things. Are you sure? Need not be. Can you give me an example where two things and one thing put together, there will not be three? See, if you take 2 drops of any liquid, put one more drop, 3 drops, you cannot see 3 drops there. That's why. Because through your concrete experience, you have generalized. You have generalized. And it is not because 2 and 1 is 3, because 2 plus 1 is equal to 3 is, we have defined it so. We have defined 2 plus 1 is 3. It is by definition. So, to come to that definition stage, see what steps you have to use. Yeah. Exactly. That is what I meant. That's what I meant. The presentation must be with objects around them, accessible to them. They must be able to manipulate and see and enjoy. When the apple is available for a child to know and see and feel and eat, why should you have a chart where you say A for apple? You are converting a 3D into a 2D. Wherever 3D is possible, don't break it down to 2D. This is very important. So, any material that you develop at the primary stage, I want ultimately the child should know this represents a plane. The plane, YZ plane. But then you want him to say that immediately after he learns how to speak. No. There are various stages through which you bring him here or bring the child here. Therefore, when you prepare the material, all the 3 stages must be gone through. Then only you will see the use of this. The use of this. This is for any 2 numbers, any 2 objects, any different situation. So you have a generalization. Mathematical generalization does not exclude things. Yes. So, from familiarity, representational, and then abstract. So, this is the process. So, all your documents must proceed. Please don't hurry. Don't be very ambitious. Think of the child. It's possible, maybe after a year or 2, this material that you have made will be totally rejected, will not be useful. Keep in that mind that the main structure should not be disturbed. You may make additional changes, you give a support, but the structure or the skeleton should survive. So make such material that will be time independent. You must think that far. So there are certain situations where the lecture will not be. When the lecture cannot help, then would require something that will be interesting. So, any concept you want to develop and put here in this, the first objective is to create a context. Creating a context for reaching the goal is the most important part of your design. Because only if you create the context where children are involved. So when the teacher would use it, teacher would make children to be associated with that particular context. Once they are in the context, knowledge construction will take place. So the object of your making these designs should not be to transfer knowledge. It should not be for transferring the knowledge, but to construct knowledge. Knowledge construction is going to be your aim. Every child must be in a position to construct the concepts. There are various other methods where we say concept attainment model. Concept attainment model, where you have a definition of a concept. What are the main attributes of the concept? What are necessary attributes? What are not necessary? I'll give you an example. What is that? Do you think all are triangles? Are you sure? When you are asked to draw a triangle, do you draw any one of them or a particular one you would always draw? Generally a particular, Mr. Raji says. He thinks this must be. Here. Not the orientation which must fit in the criteria. The orientation should be, orientation of the material should be independent of the definition. All are triangles, but normally we use this. So whenever you use prepared material, don't allow children to fix the idea that triangle must be always with a base. No, not necessarily. It is independent of the orientation. So that orientation is not a necessary attribute. Something else also I have put there. I have given a name. Normally, when you talk of English, you go in the order. So immediately you read triangle ABC. But then I have named differently the position. So the name is immaterial here. So when you talk of a triangle, the main attributes are the vertices and the sides. Name is immaterial. It's not a necessary attribute. The orientation is also not necessary. So don't keep putting the same figure, same ABC everywhere. Wherever the orientation does matter, that will matter only in later part of the stages. But you should have all choices. Children should know, oh, that is a triangle, this is a triangle. Oh, I can call it, anyway, I can call him Misraji, I can call him Keshva also. I can call him Keshva Misra also. I can call him. What is important for me is the person Keshva Misra is known to me. The name was only till I saw him. Only till I saw him day before yesterday morning at M3-2022 when he came, I related, oh, this is Keshva Misra. So I may forget his name, but I cannot forget him. So the aim must be the gist of what you want should get into the system, not the name, not the orientation. I should not be worried about whether he is in white dress or he is in a colored dress. It is not a necessary attribute. So when we talk about concept attainment model in all subjects, we have certain things. This is not a place for talk about this. Centroid could be independent of name of the triangle, orientation of the triangle. Okay, there is a lot of confusion in one of the materials that I saw where simple whether P belongs to the triangle ABC.
Peace,
P belongs to the triangle ABC.
not unless it is linked to any of the vertices or the edges.
See, my question is very simple. I have asked whether P belongs to triangle ABC or not.
I don't think so.
You don't think so. Are you? I want a confident answer.
It does not.
It doesn't belong to anyone. What do you think? Whether the point P belongs to the triangle or not? It belongs to the triangle. See, what Vishwaji has asked me is exactly this. When we say triangle, it has nothing to do with what is inside and what is outside. Only this is the triangle. That is the triangle. Only those line segments. It has nothing to do with the space inside. The point B does not belong to the triangle. So when you prepare a material, don't show a colored thing here and say triangle ABC. I have seen the where someone was talking about the polygons, where he has blue color, he calls them triangles. Triangle and triangular material are totally different. Triangular biscuit and triangle are different. Both triangle is totally abstract. Biscuit is a concrete material. If it were a biscuit, the point P, if an ant is there, whether the ant is on the biscuit is perfectly right. It is in the interior of the biscuit. Therefore, is right. But then, when I asked whether P belongs to the triangle, Madam said no, because she is very sure that triangle meant only this. If you put it like this, you think base, you can put anywhere you like. We should not insisting on base. Only if you are talking about something material. So material, you wanted to make it stand on something, then you call it base. Otherwise, because this was actually resulted in a problem in class 9. When in class 9, some teachers have defined sine theta as perpendicular by hypotenuse, base by hypotenuse, and things like that. So, so they were thinking that this is the base, this is the perpendicular, this is the hypotenuse. But then think of this. What do you call it, base?
The top line.
I don't know. If you have it like this, right angle here, you call this the base, children get confused. And generally, mostly, they commit mistakes in finding out the sine theta, cos theta, whatever. So let us avoid defining certain things which depend on the orientation. Instead, define it as opposite side over hypotenuse. So whatever angle you are considering, the side facing that. So the correction takes place very late. When some triangle is somewhere in a web, we have to find out sine theta. Then if it is about base, perpendicular is last. And therefore, this is
then we move the vertices so that the triangle get to know that it's not always same. Is that
see, this is the okay, no, I understand. But because in physics they use it. Whatever my way they are, it should not matter. But in physics they allow something to fall down and change the vertices again, and then they find G and then they call it the center of gravity. So when you talk about triangular material, you define it, you give it a name, you call whatever. But the main idea should be independent of the orientation. Of the it's not an essential. So when you talk about these things, sorry, we are, I mean, I have a tendency to extend the borders. And then thank you, sir. Thank you very much for He has given me the signal. That. That I cannot. But then you are free to ask me. You have seen towards the presentation, I have not put you under any tension. Absolutely. The class was, or the lecture was developed with you. I didn't have anything in the mind to come and talk to you. Somewhere he said, and someone. That's how the class went down. Yes, madam. That's our learning system is not be marks driven. A particular method you conduct will not reveal the actual learning that has taken. When I completed my PhD, it is not the document that mattered to me. The 2.5 years that I went through, what I learned, what I went through, that only remains significant. That degree and all that is whether it got me higher position or not that. But after that, I was able to evaluate the number of questions. That gave me the confidence. Okay, so one particular test ignores a lot of others because in a classroom, children come from different social backgrounds, different economic backgrounds. So once you enter with a smile and allow the children to be comfortable. Allow the children to be comfortable. So whenever you meet the teachers and they explain that I'm going to show you, you are going to sit, you are going to listen, only at the end you will ask questions. No. Pick up from someone and then listen. So thinking of a context which the children can comprehend, that is very, very important. If you are teaching a particular subject that has a nature, every subject has its own nature. So nature of science, children should know, the teacher should know, the trainer. Nature of a language, teachers should know. The flexibility of the language, teachers should know. Our languages, we have so many languages. A word in a particular language would mean something different in a different language. The moment you say something, that word may be there, but it gives a contradicting meaning, something that you cannot think of. When I was in Bhopal, one of the teachers, one of my colleagues was talking about language speech, talking about the flexibility in language, and no, you must learn language. All the every teacher, every one of you should try to learn another language. I was fortunate enough to learn Telugu, English, Hindi. Odia, Bengali, Kannada. And there are so many languages. We are so rich in all these languages. Whenever you get an opportunity to learn and ask the children also to learn. See, the word Neta. The word Neta. In Chhattisgarh, in the tribal region, dog is called a Neta. Neta ghus gaya. Neta ghus gaya means they meant dog has entered. They are not reversible. When a Neta comes, you cannot say no. They are not, if x is equal to 0, 0 is equal to okay in mathematics, but then you cannot interchange. You cannot interchange. So when you use the word for the first time in your document, make sure all the children throughout the book or throughout the text or throughout the experience will all mean the same. The symbols that you use must be consistent. The units that you use must be very consistent. So that needs to be.
We have more from you, but due to the lack of time, we have to stop. And whatever you told, our participation, then bringing academicism, and then going to abstract, is really in graphical language, we first do a establishing shot, then we do a over the shoulder, then we bring the voice before the videos. So that's how we could relate that. And point what you told, different orientation, changing the central belief or general approach is very much important, and we are trying to do that to some extent. And some of requests have come to me that can we show some of our that kind of critical things with the review with you? We can get a critical feedback from you so that we can do it better. Because you are master in the classroom, because you made us like
I saw that I have put it these computer graphics and all to hold you on.
Thank you so much for wonderful.
It's my pleasure.
During this 2 days, we divided all the participants into 4 groups. And Amika Rani ma'am was secretly watching everyone, how they are participating. And based on that, he has asked us to give actions. He has brought down some points. He has nominated one group as the winner, who's the top scorer. So we'd like to. What is it like?
Styrofoam. We had 4 groups. We had 4 groups. We had divided the whole into 4. One was conceptual clarity. Second was standards. Third was visual appeal. And the fourth was ease of use of language. So they were already given the documents, and they're of course thorough with the multimedia guidelines and also the quality control framework which the Vidya Vani provides. So they really trashed out on all those things, and our Srujana sister and Radhika sister, they had some activities, very interesting activities for them, and I was a silent observer. What we sort of observed, of course, together with Radhika sister and Srujana sister, because they're multimedia experts. So with their help, we have come to some, we've observed certain things. One, of course, was team dynamics, group dynamics. And the other one was how quickly they come up with the things, their ideas or whatever they have to present, how well they present, and what are the important points they bring out from their from the activities given by Srijana and Radhika sister. And of course, if there was internal discussion when the group is presenting, we had some penalty points also. So because if a group is presenting and they internally if they discuss, it really disturbs. So we gave some negative points for that. So with all these things in mind, we have come up with the points, and we are very happy to announce that conceptual clarity is the group which one of them is said to be the other judgment idea.
How many?
Four of us. Three of them are here. Four were here. The fourth
This, I'm handing it over.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. One thing, we are waiting since nothing. So we are nothing. In this process, there is no end. Therefore, there is no what shall we call valedictory. I think those who are doing this may not be good teachers. If what you say is borne out by your experience, you have done all this without it. They are all doing it without clarity. How many of you teachers, practicing teachers? Huh? Nobody is a practicing. They are alone mixed. Two of you. That's the different kind of teaching.
I was the,
They're only practicing teachers.
I was,
You also teach subjects.
I did.
She was.
They have now moved over.
Yes. I was also a social studies teacher, but long back, sir. I left teaching long back and then evaluate.
After coming into this media, you think what you have done all this life. Is there a world of difference between like Dr. Rao who has been teaching without these aids, and all of you doing this without ever teaching?
When we
Is
told
there a-
all these was not available for us.
The problem now is, can there be a good sort of people who use this? Need not be teachers. They're going to be a higher percent. It's going to higher percent. Those who are teachers are not going to make use of it. Those who are going to make use of it will never have time. How do you really practice? It means what? Two people have to take the class. You will do that representation. He will do the. So you create the media, that's right. But then that is not adequate to as a substitute to teaching. More fundamental question in the school is there are teachers who teach you to take the exam without ever teaching. So how are you going to get over that problem? People, I mean, you are given multiple choices and you are told what should be the answer, without ever learning the principles of that subject. And that is what is gaining popularity. Schools are not attended, only coaching classes are attended. Isn't it?
So how are you going to make the country a country of learners, not a country of examination takers?
No, the system now is something like uh, a child coming to the teacher with a gulab jamun and asking the teacher, please tell me what is the taste of this gulab jamun. They call it gulab jamun. Please tell me the taste. Teacher immediately takes and eats and says, it's sweet. And you would ask in the exam, what is the taste of gulab jamun? The child will answer, the gulab jamun is sweet as told by my teacher. That is what the teacher expects. On the other hand, the moment the teacher sees the gulab jamun, would say, oh, gulab jamun is meant for you. You should eat. Sir, I've never eaten. No, but now try. The moment he eats, he put the same question, what is the taste of gulab jamun? He would say, I'm sure gulab jamun is very sweet. I would love to eat it whenever I get a chance to. Now, that is it. So don't snatch away the thrill of learning from the child. Teacher should not snatch away. So whenever a child comes with a problem or a question, look at it as it is his rasgulla or gulab jamun or laddu you want to eat and tell this is this. No. Their problems are their problems. They are meant for them. If you have a particular exercise, there will be people who will be providing solutions for your exercise. The purpose is defeated. We want children to take that. We say that exercise the questions that you are giving, that is also a technology. The technology that you use to establish that the child has understood or not. So that should not be misused. So all said and done, teachers should not try to make children learn by force, learn by rote. If I had depended only on these gadgets, probably if the power is not there, I would not have it. No, I would not have it. Or you would say he's showing some PPT. At the end of it, I will go and ask him, sir, will you please give it to me? Nowadays they say, sir, will you please forward it to my WhatsApp? No, that is left there. We don't want that. I want every one of you to construct your own way. So children must be encouraged to construct knowledge, not borrow knowledge.
How far do you think that this concept of learning is going to be valid in this country when people have to take entrance examination for everything? And most of them are only so-called objective. There is nothing like an essay type.
That should come as a corollary, not as a main thing.
What happens is,
one of the programs when I was addressing large number of students, one student asked me, sir, how to get 100 out of 100 in math? You tell us that. I said, it's so simple. You're all surprised. Why it's so simple, sir? If you learn mathematics, everything that is there, if you learn completely and thoroughly, getting 100 is.
yeah, but the whole training, process of training is only to get 100 marks without knowing the subject.
That's it.
So that is today's. So how are you going to really?
No, but still, I think
All of you are married, I suppose. Your own children, you must be feeling now how difficult it is, isn't it? To make them get not knowledge but marks. And there's no correlation between knowledge and marks. Isn't it? I mean, this is my understanding. This is all right. With regard to subjects where there is no final truth, it's only shades of truth. So how are you going to really teach them?
they need to be involved in the learning process. They have to create knowledge.
Can you can you have teachers without access to this? Or can you have people with access to it, but no teaching background? So how do you match the two?
Neither is exclusively
See,
neither.
this is the problem. Is this process of Satyasai, what you call Vidyavahini, going to be a non-starter so far as the knowledge aspect is concerned?
I think that question actually is because it is already proven that it is aiding teachers to teach better and enable a child to construct his or her own learning back, knowledge back. And this is enabling different sensory inputs. So because multimedia is only one of the 7 things that we do, there is also activity-based learning. There is also questions to assess. And as yesterday's presentation that we had with Professor Sharma from Mysore, we fulfill one very critical need where the remote is in the hands of the teacher. We never bypass the teacher. So even if she's using multimedia and she puts up a question there, the answer doesn't play. She will solicit answers from the students as he did. They will all have different answers of what is 1030 plus 1030 and then the rest. And then only when she is ready, she will click her clicker and the correct answer will manifest on the screen. So we have not bypassed the teacher, sir, in any which way. No, multimedia will help her to reinforce the child. As he said, there was a visualization in this case when he took the numerals and then his calculation. And then there was because he heard it very quickly, he made a mistake of missing the 10. The same thing will now get reinforced through different multisensory media. Because they're doing a mental calculation, she is not revealing the answer till they've all gone through it, and then she clicked, and then the next line comes. So I think it's a reinforcement of the mental construct the child is going through. It's like another sense.
Basically, you're saying that this category of people are going to strengthen the normal teaching ability of people like him.
No, he's an exception. He's an expert. Our target audience is not Professor Rao, it is the rural teachers. And if I may say so.
They don't know either the or the visual presentation.
Yes, that is
Most
right.
of the schools are like that.
So we are training them and the teacher is learning by going through this material. First and foremost, the teacher sometimes is herself or himself understanding the topic by going through the Vidyavahini material. And if I may say so, I hope this is not going recorded. I will not. Certain state governments allow a person to become a teacher and draw very reasonable salary if they have an 8 standard pass and a DL. Others, which have higher standards, teacher is 10th grade pass with the diploma in education. Now that person's knowledge bank cannot be compared to a person with this kind of a repository of experience and PhD and knowledge and teaching experience. So for that teacher, this is first level of learning himself and herself, and then making an effort to share it with his children. So I think our target audience is the rural teacher, and this is a great step. And it's so simple because even the activity-based learning is based on
Have you
material.
ever met any rural teacher?
Sir, all of us have. Recently. Science schools of Karnataka. Swami schools of Karnataka.
The only name. They're not Swami schools in sense in
They criticize schools of the state of Karnataka and mostly from local background and that was interestingly that they're making the 5 days training for them. And first they just introduce.
How do you see that this is an aid and not
Now, after the 5